Hi, I'm Manga Captor, and it's June, so from me to you, happy Pride. I'd like to take this moment to just say that I am so very proud of you. If you are someone who is not in a safe environment to come out, it's okay. The most important thing is that you know who you are and you accept who you are. This month is still very much about you, and it's important to celebrate that. And with that said, I wanted to go ahead and share with you some of my favorite LGBTQ+ manga recommendations. So I'm going to break this up into a couple categories. First, we're going to start with the school category, starting with My Love Mix-Up. I've talked about this series before on my channel and I just adore it so much. It is such a great series that explores the beauty of first love and how to have a healthy relationship with someone that you love. And that involves things like being patient, giving people time to understand where they're at. It's about asking questions that can be a little bit tough. It's about giving each other space and respecting each other above all. And I feel like this high school manga just does such a great job at representing what wholesome love is all about, and I adore it for that reason. And the second series that is in this school genre is I Think Our Son Is Gay. This one is a bit different. It's more so narrated from the mom's perspective. She has noticed that her son tends to stare at the TV screen very lovingly when there is a handsome male actor on the screen. She has noticed that he takes a liking to magazines with men on the covers that aren't wearing shirts. She has noticed that he talks a lot about one of his classmates who is a boy, and it seems like he adores him more than just you would a regular friend. So she's kind of making these conclusions or these assumptions that her son may be gay, and she is okay with that. In fact, she really champions her son in her own mind. She protects him and tries to keep this secret a secret from people like other family members that maybe wouldn't take well to this idea of him being gay. So really, she's an ally, and the story just focuses on her son and his day-to-day life at school and all the cute little moments he shares with his friend who he has a crush on, and it's just such a sweet slice of life series to read. I'm currently on volume 3 and I'm enjoying it a ton. And now moving on to our next category, workplace romance. And the first one on that list is Turns Out My Friend. Oh my god, there's a person! Turns Out My Online Friend Is My Real Life Boss. This originally was a one-shot, but recently a second volume has been announced, and I think it's going to actually come out this month or the next month. I'll put the date on the screen. So when I originally read this, I was like, okay, this is a one-shot, and I thought it was really good for what it was. One-shots can be hit or miss sometimes, but this one was really sweet. So our main character is obsessed with this online game where you can play with people and team up and fight like enemies. It's like an RPG game. And he ends up teaming up with this person over and over again, and they strike up a friendship and they decide, why don't we meet in real life? It would be really cool. And it turns out his friend is his boss. And from there, maybe a little romance happens. And it is so cute and I love it, and I'm just so happy that now there's going to be more of it. I was already content with the one shot, but now that I know we're getting a second volume, oh man, I am stoked. And the next series on this list is Cherry Magic. I've talked about this one a ton. I binge read 10 volumes of this series. Like, that is just how good it is. It is just pure fluff and goodness. Our protagonist can read people's minds by simply touching them, and this has caused him to kind of self-isolate because, hey, guess what? A lot of people are two-faced. Who would have thought? He's doubtful of whether or not people are telling him the truth. But one day he bumps into his handsome colleague and, they brush a little bit, and in that moment he hears his thoughts, and his thoughts are just wildly romantic and beautiful and also kind of steamy sometimes. So it takes him all by surprise, and one thing leads to another. They spend more time together at work and something beautiful buds between them. And the third series in this category is Donuts Under a Crescent Moon. I haven't finished this series. I've only read the first volume, but I could tell from the first volume that it's a pretty wholesome series, and I plan on continuing it and finishing it. Donuts Under a Crescent Moon is a GL manga that is about our main protagonist who realizes that she hasn't really had much luck dating men and that she doesn't really want to date men, and all of a sudden, like, her coworker, she's looking really pretty. She's looking really beautiful. She's really sweet and really nice. And to her surprise, her coworker is also thinking the same thing about her. And you can imagine that yes, a romance starts to bud between them. And from the looks of it, it seems to be very sweet and wholesome. All right, and then our next category is going to be food. And in this category, we have She Loves to Cook and She Loves to Eat, which is a fantastic GL. This is the holy grail of GL, and I'm not even exaggerating, dude. So this is about our protagonist. I love how I don't remember any of their names. She has a tiny appetite, but she loves to cook a lot. She is like, you know, a food blogger kind of. She's posting really delicious food pics on Instagram and she's getting tons of likes. But the thing is, she wants to cook these huge portions, but she can't eat it all. So one day she bumps into her neighbor, who I do remember her name. Her name is Kasuga. And she notices like, hey, this Kasuga person seems to really throw down. Like, she eats a lot. She has a big appetite. So she has this brilliant plan. Why don't I give her the food that I cook? Because then I could cook the big portions that I want and none of the food goes to waste. And it just so happens that Kasuga really loves her cooking and a friendship strikes and maybe some other stuff happens too. It's so wholesome. And I also love that this series doesn't just have lesbian, what is that called? Like, oh, representation. It also talks about being ace and maybe a few other things too. There's a great cast of characters that are just, you know, all parts of the rainbow, and I am obsessed. I love it so much, and I can't wait for more volumes. All right, and then the next series in this food category is Our Dining Table. This is a one-shot, and it is a perfect, beautiful morsel. It is lovely, and I found out that apparently there's like a sequel to this, so I'm very excited. The story of Our Dining Table is very simple. Our main protagonist, I feel like I'm gonna keep saying that. I'm so sorry, I really don't know. Hold on. So Yutaka is this salary man that often eats alone. He has some trauma related to eating around others, so he just takes his lunches by himself. But he is so good at making onigiri. Like, he has his own special way of doing it, and one day there's this little boy that happens to see that delicious ball of onigiri and is like, please sir, please feed me. And he does. And the little boy tells his brother Minoru, oh, this kind man gave me this rice ball and it was so delicious. And he just doesn't shut up about it. So then Minoru's like, you know what, we're gonna go back, you're gonna apologize to this man, but also let's see if he can give us his recipe and teach us how to make this onigiri that you like so much. And of course Yutaka agrees. So they start to cook together, share meals together, spend time together, and oh my god, it is a wholesome whirlwind of love. And it's so beautiful. It's not just focusing on like romantic love, it's also talking about familial love, which I think is really great. This is such a well-rounded one-shot that now has a sequel coming up, so that's exciting. All right, and the next series in this category is our Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide. This is so cute. So this was actually one of the first BLs I ever bought. You know, lots of places are starting to sell manga, like Target and Walmart, and at Walmart they had volume 1 of this series, and I was like, whoa, my Walmart has BL? That's crazy. So I checked it out and I got hooked. This is basically about this couple that decides to travel the world to almost like test their relationship, and the idea is that if they're able to travel around the world successfully and still be together, then that means they're ready for marriage. And it is such a cute series. Not only do you get to see all of this delicious food around the world, you also get to just see them grow closer and share more moments together. There's also kind of like this story that's hidden from the reader initially that slowly comes out about the characters, and that's also really intriguing. I am just really enjoying this. If you're a fan of travel, a big fan of food from around the globe, and you love just seeing men love each other, this is a great pick for you. All right, and then the last series in this food category, I want you to guess. You probably could if you've been here long enough. You probably know what's coming, and it's What Did You Eat Yesterday? I mean, I am so predictable, but I love this series so much. You get to see this couple grow together and share so many meals together over the years, and they make some friends that are just so important to their lives, and they do so many things together that they've always wanted to do, and it is just so rewarding to read this series. I love these characters, I love seeing them happy, and I love that they are a strong enough couple to get through some pretty hard stuff. So this series features entire chapters about cooking. You can quite literally follow any recipe in this book because they let you know exactly how to make it, which I think is also a really cool thing about this series. So if you're a fan of long-term relationships, recipes, and food, this is a great one for you. Alright, I have one last series to talk about. I will say that this is a pretty heavy one. It comes with lots of trigger warnings. It can be something that really brings back some rough memories. It did for me, but I really enjoyed it overall, and it's from one of my favorite mangakas of all time, and that is Our Dreams at Dusk. Our Dreams at Dusk is about Tasuku, who is in the closet. He is gay, but he doesn't want people to know. But one day he is kind of forced out in a really strange way, and after that he doesn't really see the point of living anymore. But he runs into a mysterious someone who quite literally goes by Someone-san, and this someone introduces him to basically like a little refuge for queer people. It's a small building where people can meet up and talk to other queer people, and they also do some projects together to pass the time and to improve the town that they live in as well. And Tasuku decides to go, and there he meets other people, and there are all types of people. There are trans characters, there are genderqueer people, there are lesbian people, there are gay people, like just everything. And that's one thing that I really enjoyed about the manga. There's so much representation. I really loved the character Someone-san, who is this arrow ace person that also seems to be non-binary. They just really don't identify with anything. It just felt so nice to see a character like that in manga that wasn't just like a punchline of a joke or there for comic relief. They were there to be taken seriously, and they play a big role in the story. And so this story really focuses on Tasuku meeting these other people and getting to understand more of who makes up the queer community. He also learns how to respect these people and not just make assumptions about who they are. He also comes to terms with who he is and his feelings that he has towards one of his male classmates. And it is a pretty emotional, heavy read. There are some slurs in this manga, so I can understand if you would not want to read it. It is okay. This series is written by a queer author. They identify as gender X, which is a term often used in Japan. It could be equated to something like non-binary, which is a term we use in the US. I myself am non-binary, so I think I just have this strong affinity to their works because I just love supporting other people like me who are also genderqueer in their own ways. That concludes my list of manga recommendations. I hope that you have a happy and safe Pride. Go ahead and leave your favorite LGBTQ+ manga in the comments. That way others can find some more great reads. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.